The sun began to dip beneath the horizon, casting a warm golden light across the sprawling landscape of a small town. Amidst the quaint houses and busy streets, a series of storage units sat quietly, their doors often closed, holding secrets of the lives that once spilled into those forgotten spaces. These storage units had become a treasure trove for the adventurous and the curious. Tom and Lisa were a couple like many others. They were drawn to the idea of storage unit auctions, excited about the possibilities. The thrill of discovering lost treasures had a magnetic pull that they couldn't resist. For them, it was more than just the chance of finding an expensive item or an antique. It was about the stories behind those items, the journey of the people who had once owned them, and the adventure of the search itself. They had spent countless weekends poring over abandoned units filled with the remnants of previous owners' lives, but this time felt different. This time, there was an unmistakable buzz of excitement in the air. As they arrived at the storage facility, the atmosphere was electric. A small crowd had gathered, murmuring to one another with eager anticipation. There was a mix of seasoned bidders, their eyes keen with ambition, and newcomers, wide-eyed and anxious. "Here it is," Tom whispered, glancing at the paper that detailed the contents of the unit. "Just a few boxes, some furniture, and—" He pointed to a line that mentioned a possible fallout shelter. As the auction began, the bids bounced between the participants like a lively game of ping-pong. Whispers of excitement rippled through the crowd when the auctioneer finally introduced Tom and Lisa's coveted unit. It was a modest-looking space, its door slightly ajar, inviting the possibility of revealing something more than just dusty old furniture. The words erupted from Tom's mouth before he could think twice. A few heads turned, surprised at the sudden low bid. The auctioneer's eyes sparkled with amusement as he saw the couple take a step closer, their eagerness palpable. "Do I hear 30?" Another bidder chimed in, and the rivalry had begun. Tom and Lisa held their breath, feeling the tension rise. Lisa blurted out, her hand shooting up as she felt the excitement wash over her. The friendly competition continued, with bids flaring up like sparks in the air, but their determination pushed through. They exchanged silent nods, and time seemed to stretch. "Sold!" Cheers and claps erupted around them, but their victory was tinged with disbelief. Had they really won? Tom looked at Lisa, both of them still processing their bidding success. With renewed energy, they made their way to the storage unit, heartbeats racing in rhythm with their quickened steps. The interior was dark, lit only by the fading sunlight creeping in through the door. As they stepped inside, dust motes danced in the light, revealing piles of boxes stacked haphazardly, with an old chair leaning precariously against a wall. The air felt thick with history, each box a potential doorway to a past life. "Let's start here," Tom said, pointing to a box marked with faded labeling. As he pried it open, the scent of aged paper wafted up, reminiscent of old letters and memories. Inside, they found books with worn spines, a curious assortment of magazines, and a large, colorful globe that had seen better days. Lisa's voice broke through the laughter as she squatted lower to inspect a small, obscured hatch tucked in the corner of the space. Tom leaned in closer, nudging aside a worn-out cardboard box that had been crammed against it. "It looks old," Tom said, his fingers brushing over the surface. "Only one way to find out," Lisa replied, her eyes sparkling with excitement. She knelt beside the hatch and fumbled for the latch. After a moment's effort, it clicked open with a grating sound, revealing more darkness below. An exhilarating chill shot through them. Could this be a real fallout shelter? With breaths held in cautious anticipation, Tom and Lisa peered into the darkness. A narrow staircase descended, twisting downwards into the unknown. Instinctively, they exchanged glances, confirming what they both felt. This was an adventure they couldn't pass up. Tom asked, his voice steady yet laced with excitement. Lisa nodded, quickly rummaging through one of the boxes until she found a battered flashlight. "After you," Lisa said, a playful smirk on her face. Tom exhaled deeply and began to descend the stairs, each step echoing softly in the silence. Reaching the bottom, they found themselves in a small underground chamber. The air was cooler and carried the distinct scent of earth and old metal. "This is incredible," Lisa breathed, glancing around in awe. Tom moved closer to the shelves, brushing his fingers across the labels on some of the cans. Curiosity fueled their exploration. As they rummaged through the contents, they uncovered more curious artifacts: a collection of vintage board games, a dusty military jacket hanging in the corner, and an old diary, its leather cover cracking but still intact. "I wonder how old all of this is," Tom pondered aloud, flipping a page in the diary, which was filled with neatly written entries. Lisa pointed to a sketch tucked into the back of the diary. He drew what looks like a timeline of significant events. It's like he was tracking everything. The couple stood in silence for a moment, absorbing the weight of history surrounding them. It was one thing to find objects in a storage unit, but this was more than that. "This feels like a piece of history," Tom breathed, his voice quiet with reverence. They continued to delve into boxes, pulling out dust-covered treasures, old newspapers that chronicled world events, maps labeled with strategic locations, and a makeshift survival guide. Time slipped away as they immersed themselves in the lives of those who once inhabited this space, brought to life through the artifacts left behind. Just as they began to piece together the narrative of the shelter and its owner, they stumbled upon a locked cabinet tucked against the far wall. A sense of excitement and mystery enveloped them anew. Tom knelt down, his fingers inspecting the old latch. "I have a feeling it might answer some questions," Lisa replied, her eyes gleaming with curiosity. After a few moments of fiddling with the rusty lock, it finally sprung open with a satisfying click. What lay inside was a collection of photographs, frayed at the edges, capturing candid moments of a family gathered around a table or playing in the yard. "Look at this one," Tom said, holding up a photograph depicting a family sitting on the front porch, the backdrop a modest house. "It looks so normal," Lisa observed, her voice softening as she admired the scene. Yet, in this moments of normalcy, a sense of strife was palpable. They could see the underlying current of worry that the shelter had represented. The families who had once found safety in these depths. What had they faced together? Their excitement was tinged with a hint of melancholy, leading them to wonder about the challenges that had pressed these families to seek refuge here. Why had these people abandoned their lives for the secrecy of this underground space? The adventure had turned into something more profound, exploring themes of fear, family, and resilience. As they continued to delve into the cabinet, they uncovered even more items: old school reports, letters, and drawings from a young child, all revealing a life interrupted. "This is a glimpse of their lives," Lisa said, a catch in her voice. Their mission to explore a mere storage unit had transformed into an exploration of history, driven by the world that had unfolded around them decades before. With new purpose, Tom and Lisa resolved to dig deeper into the stories held within the shelter, unraveling the secrets of its former inhabitants. The thrill of adventure was now intertwined with a sense of responsibility, to honor and uncover the memories of those who had once prepared for the worst. As they gathered up their findings, the glow of hope for a fresh start ignited within them. The realization that they had become part of a larger narrative. Tucked away deep in the heart of this small town was a hidden world waiting to be uncovered. With their hearts racing, Tom and Lisa gathered the photographs, diary, and other artifacts they had uncovered from the hidden fallout shelter, their minds buzzing with possibilities. The atmosphere in the underground chamber buzzed with urgency, as if the ghosts of those who once inhabited it were beckoning them to learn more. They quickly formulated a plan. As they emerged from the shelter, the day had faded into night, and the cool evening air filled with new sounds. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, and the distant chirping of crickets provided a comforting backdrop to their thoughts. The couple drove home, each lost in their reflections, holding their discoveries close. "Let's start with the diary," Lisa suggested as they pulled into their driveway. They rushed inside, eager to bring their newfound treasures into the light. The diary entries spanned several years and chronicled Mark's life leading up to the shelter's creation. His writing revealed the emotional roller coaster stemming from the looming threat of a nuclear war. Tom skimmed through entries detailing how Mark had become increasingly anxious as tensions rose in global politics. "It's like he documented not just the events, but his feelings too," Lisa said. Her brow furrowed slightly as she read a passage that spoke of sleepless nights and constant vigilance. He was terrified, yet still tried to maintain some normalcy for his family. "Look at this. I've taken precautions, but I keep my head up for their sake." Tom nodded, the entry resonating deeply with him. It's powerful, isn't it? The struggle between wanting to protect your family and the hope that things will be okay. They combed through the rest of the entries, which chronicled Mark's gradual descent into paranoia. The final entries, marked with desperation, described the decision to transform their home into a shelter, to seek safety underground. There was a clear shift. He wrote of hope, then worry, then finally, a sense of deep frustration mixed with fear. "Look at this last entry," Lisa said suddenly, her voice almost a whisper. "He talks about a significant event he believes will happen soon, something that will shake society to its core. Prepare the family," he writes. Tom felt a chill run down his back. The implications were heavy. They were not just exploring a piece of history, but unraveling the complex emotions and experiences of an entire family. He murmured, more to himself than Lisa. Determined to find answers, they decided to explore the neighborhood surrounding the storage unit. After checking online, they discovered that the area had indeed experienced a period of upheaval during the late 1970s and early 80s, a time when fears of nuclear war reached their peak alongside a series of local economic downturns. That morning, they plotted the locations of houses for sale in the area, some of which were recently sold or abandoned. As they drove through the streets, the remnants of the past lingered like whispers in the wind. The architecture told stories of families who once thrived there. They passed by a weathered house, its paint peeling and windows murky, a haunting silhouette against the cloudy sky. Lisa glanced at Tom, who seemed to read her unspoken thoughts. Tom stopped the car, staring at the neglected structure, its once bright facade now dulled by time. Excitement mingled with trepidation as they cautiously approached the front yard, overgrown with weeds. As they examined the exterior, Lisa's gaze settled on a small plaque affixed to the side of the house. "Look." Tom's pulse quickened. That's it. The diary had mentioned the Jenkins family. He referred to his wife by name. But as they held the weight of this realization, a sense of urgency compelled them to learn more. After exchanging ideas about reaching out to neighbors and local historians, they decided to start with the community library, which had archives of historical records. The librarian, a kindly older woman named Mrs. Turner, appeared intrigued by their research. "The Jenkins family was well known around here," she said, lifting her glasses to examine them closely. "They were known for their activism during the Cold War era and for their preparation efforts. Tragic, really. They disappeared from the community around 1985. No one really knows what happened. Mark's activism, his fear, it bubbled over in strange ways. They kept to themselves, isolating more and more as the tensions grew." A heavy silence settled over the conversation, and Lisa and Tom exchanged glances, their hearts pounding. The very shelter they had uncovered echoed a family's desperate attempts to shield themselves from the world. Lisa pressed. Mrs. Turner nodded and then pointed them to a directory of old newspapers, adding, "Check the issues from that time." Time seemed to slip through their fingers as they combed through the newspapers from the local archives. Each crumpled page turned filled them with new questions. The article described how the neighborhood had turned into a flurry of concern when the Jenkins family had not been seen for weeks. Neighbors reported strange sounds coming from their home, and the authorities were called. When the police arrived, they found the home locked and sealed, showing little sign of life. A chill ran down his spine. "We have to go back to the shelter," Lisa said suddenly, her eyes widening with resolve. "They can't just disappear like this." Tom nodded slowly, determination igniting in his chest. "Right. There was that last diary entry about them preparing for something big." As they made their way back to the storage unit, the weight of the day settled on their shoulders. They could feel the gravity of the stories they were enveloped in, an emotional tapestry woven with pain, hope, and endurance. When they unlocked the shelter again, they braced themselves as they descended into its darkness, which felt thicker than before. They revisited every corner, meticulously inspecting every box they had previously explored. It was as if the shelter had transformed from a forgotten relic into a living archive, ready to reveal its secrets at last. Lisa's hands trembled slightly as she pushed several boxes aside. "Maybe we missed something," she said, feeling a mix of anxiety and excitement. Tom combed through the shelves once more, this time more intently than before. As he rifled through a pile of dusty papers, a glimmer caught his eye, something metallic hidden beneath a layer of old newspapers. Pushing aside the aged, yellowing sheets, he unearthed a small metal box, its surface rusted but oddly intricate in design. Lisa asked, her breath quickening as she joined him. He examined it closely, noticing intricate engravings and a small lock that appeared to have been compromised in the years gone by. Lisa asked, her voice laced with anticipation. Tom turned the box over in his hands, examining it for any potential latch. Finally, after some effort, he pried it open. Inside, they discovered a cache of documents and maps. Their hearts raced as they unfolded the first papers, a collection of evacuation plans and emergency resources, coupled with a carefully drawn map of their neighborhood. He read aloud, carefully tracing each word. The letter contained urgent instructions and warnings, urging the reader to prepare for an impending disaster. The language was almost cryptic, filled with urgency. "You may think this is fear, but it is only preparation." They exchanged glances full of apprehension and anticipation. This correspondence seemed to reveal the depth of the Jenkins family's paranoia, their instinct to plan against unseen threats hanging in the atmosphere. Mark's fears were justified, Lisa whispered, a distressed look on her face. The letter also included instructions on how to create a self-sufficient life underground, complete with diagrams for an escape route and a disturbing mention of gathering supplies, making clear the dire lengths they believed they must go to. "This explains so much," Tom said quietly, feeling the weight of history push down on them once more. The words echoed in their minds, tying back to their earlier discoveries. Suddenly, from deep within the shelter, a faint sound echoed through the damp atmosphere. Tom and Lisa froze, eyes wide, listening intently. The sound was soft, a scratch, or perhaps a faint bump. Tom's heart began to race as a knot of fear twisted in his stomach. The mystery began to unravel further. They were no longer just two curious explorers seeking answers. They were enveloped in a narrative marked by a lingering presence that transcended time. Lisa whispered, her eyes darting around. With the glow of the flashlight piercing the darkness, they stood rooted to the spot for a moment, the weight of the unseen drawing them closer to the unknown. "We need to check it out. If it's another hidden compartment or something, we can uncover even more," Tom suggested, lifting the beam of light toward the direction of the sound. Taking a deep breath, they crept deeper into the chamber, their heartbeat thrumming in their ears. Each step echoed against the metal and concrete walls, heightening their senses as shadows loomed larger than life in the muted light. As they ventured further, the sound seemed to grow louder, a rhythmic rustling that sent a mixture of dread and intrigue coursing through them. Then, just ahead, they spotted a second minor hatch leading deeper into the shelter. Lisa pointed, her eyes wide with curiosity. Tom swallowed hard, glancing at her with equal enthusiasm and trepidation. Gathering their courage, they made their way toward the hatch, the air thick with anticipation. There it was, an old handle that felt cool against Tom's palm as he pulled. Without hesitation, they stepped inside, the darkness swallowing them once more. The sound intensified, and as they followed it, it led them into a small, cramped room. Tom lunged forward with the flashlight, illuminating the space. The light revealed a scurry of movement. A family of raccoons had made their home in this forgotten nook. The animals froze, wide-eyed, caught off guard. Relief washed over them, and laughter broke the tension. Lisa exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with mirth. As they surveyed the room, still chuckling softly at the raccoons, they noticed boxes stacked high against the walls. They quickly set about examining the contents, hopeful they might find even more clues. They uncovered containers filled with various supplies, canned goods, flashlights, even a worn-out blanket that, despite its condition, hinted at long-term preparation. It seemed Mark had stocked up with hopes of waiting out impending disasters, ensuring his family's survival. Tom asked, pulling out a can of beans. The moment felt surreal, touching items that represented not just food, but the remnants of a family who believed the worst was just around the corner. "I can't help but feel sadness for them," Lisa said softly, the weight of their discoveries settling deep within her. As they continued to sort through the boxes, another glimmer caught Lisa's eye. A small diary, similar to the one she had read before, but much thicker. Despite its worn exterior, it felt undeniably significant. With each page, they learned of Mark's battles, his attempts to keep his children grounded, despite the tangible anxiety creeping into every corner of their lives. "This is crushing," Tom murmured, feeling the threads of connection grow stronger between the family's plight and their own emotions. There was something so human about Mark's words. He had this hopes that this would be temporary, that he'd just be protecting them for a little while. As Lisa flipped through the pages, she stumbled upon something unexpected: sketches of a backyard garden, reminders of simpler times. An entire section was dedicated to the preparation of their favorite meals, every dish painstakingly documented with tips on how to create comfort amid turmoil. Tom knelt beside her, captivated by the contrast to the more somber entries. Suddenly, as if the universe sensed a disconnection from joy, a soft glow drew their attention back to the second hatch they had initially stumbled upon. With renewed determination, they forged ahead, cloaked in anticipation. When they reached it, the sight before them was breathtaking. This must have been part of their preparations. The room buzzed with energy, revealing a place that both sheltered and nurtured. Little signs of life were everywhere: potted herbs, fresh vegetables, and a structure covered in climbing vines, flooding the room with the smells of earth and growth in contrast to the cold steel confines of the shelter. "I'm overwhelmed." They turned survival into something beautiful, Lisa breathed, stepping forward to admire the green haven within the cold, forgotten depths of the shelter. In that moment, the space transformed from a secluded hideaway, once shrouded in fear, into a testament to life, growth, and the enduring spirit of a family determined to thrive even in the darkest hours. As they stood in the underground greenhouse, surrounded by blossoming plants, they knew they had become part of Mark's legacy. Their journey led to a deeper understanding of the fragile balance between fear and hope. It was a reminder that in moments of despair, there lies the undeniable potential to create something beautiful. Emboldened by their findings and empowered by the light this family had kindled in darkness, Tom and Lisa decided to share the Jenkins family story with their community, to honor the lives lost and the hidden lessons buried deep beneath the surface. They would no longer be merely observers in the lives of those who had once sheltered in fear. They would stand as champions of their memory, ensuring that the quest for connection and understanding echoed beyond the walls of that forgotten storage unit. As they climbed back into the cool night air, the weight of history merged seamlessly with the warmth of hope, filling them with a newfound sense of purpose, alive with possibilities waiting just beyond the horizon.
Don't forget to subscribe to Real Mystery Reports for more strange, dark, and profoundly human stories. New true mysteries every day.